All right, let's do it live on a sun-kissed Reaction Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. How you living, buddy?
I'm living.
Ah,
Am I on?
well, your light's on. Your light's on. Oh, you're back. Look at the back end. You've been unplugged. The back of the mic.
Why have I been unplugged?
Why have you been unplugged? Why has he been unplugged? Take it down.
There we
Now
go.
back
Heard
up.
it click.
Now you're back.
There we go.
Now you're back.
Now we're back.
So-
We're back, baby.
It was probably because we were moving stuff around with you being out on Friday in camera shots. So that's on us.
Sure,
Sad.
I hate to see it.
Hate to
It's all
see
right.
it.
Yeah.
Take ownership. I don't care.
So-
We had the great Tommy Reese in here on Friday. It was
Yeah,
great.
I'm bummed.
Really fun.
Of course, I'm bummed that I missed him.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to be here on Wednesday.
No. We had
you
him
had him on Thursday.
Yeah,
was supposed to be here Wednesday.
It was inclement.
Apparently, too inclement. Some
Too
would say.
inclement. Yeah, he was great.
No, I was excited to watch it. A big eye interview as always from you. It was great.
thank
Yeah,
you.
no, I'm excited about that. Obviously, I was bummed that I missed that. It's like there's something seems to be. It's not like
How
I'm
dare he
gone
not
all that
look?
often.
How dare Tequila Fila not look in here as he walks by?
His collection of those
This
Patagonias
is an
are
incredible
amazing.
Patagonia quarter zip that is, I would say, in a southwestern motif.
He has a lot of them. He enjoys that.
He enjoys that southwestern
We'll see if
motif.
he
Yeah.
should give us a look. We'll see. I'm good. A heck of a week, brother. A heck
You
of
did.
a week.
Yeah.
I've had a heck
great
of a week.
documentarian shared some of your travails
Yeah.
over the weekend.
Yeah, so-
you were in New York before that.
So it started Monday, where we and I talked about this, but I'll go quickly on this part. But so we're having work done in our bathroom, so now we need to relocate to another bathroom and shower. Well, those pipes had frozen, so we then didn't. Now we didn't. So now we were
now
going
we're-
up to the kids' bathroom on the top floor.
Yeah.
So that happens. That's like stressing me out because you don't really know until it unfreezes if it's going to.
That's right.
Burst or whatnot. Turns out not. So great. Then you have Tuesday and Wednesday, which were so cold, unbelievably cold days.
Yes.
And you would maybe think that the stress of those colds leads to what happens later in the week. Go to New York Thursday, see my boys D-Strum and Manto. We have a great time, great meal, great night. Awesome. Come back home Friday, and we're having like a dinner party Saturday. Kids come back Sunday. And I walk in the house with Miss Kay. I'm like, it's cold in here.
Yeah.
Go look at the thermostat. It says it's like 62. I'm like, wait a second. And it says that it's on and set to 70 and whatnot. So we'd had an issue with it before I reset the thermostat. I'm like, okay, maybe we got it here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, turns out not. When we came home from dinner, it was even colder. We go to sleep that night. We are not equipped. We don't have space heaters just on the ready. No. There's nowhere to go get them. It's
At
10
that
o'clock.
hour?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. A Walmart would be your best opportunity. Even.
So,
yeah.
So we try to sleep that night. I mean, it got down to 49 in our home. So think about that. That is insane. So, like, I slept in full hoodie, flannel PJ, like socks. Didn't matter, freezing.
Got to spoon it up, baby.
I
Get
slept
yourself
in this
some, yeah,
thing.
of course. Yeah.
I mean,
What you got to do.
So we wake up that night. I order. I'm like, it's got to be a thermostat, or we have an old thermostat. It's done this before. We fixed it once, but maybe this is the end of it. So I order a thermostat from Amazon.
Okay.
That will be delivered between 7 and 11
a.m.
a.m. So I'm like,
That's
all right.
always. I don't know that I can always trust them on those times. They become a little bit looser with their delivery times.
Well,
I've
here's
noticed.
how it is. If you don't need the thing really to be delivered overnight, just happens to fall in the overnight bucket, it'll be there.
Oh,
Turns
good to
out
know.
that when you do need the thing, as in this case, will not be there. So it's really great. You get to track the truck.
Sure.
So they're like, at when I get up at like 8:30, they're like, oh, this is the window still. It's 7 stops away from you. They have 7 drop-offs. I'm like, well, how long can an Amazon drop-off take? Not that long, and you just got to drive around. And they were like, the car was at that time 15 minutes from my house.
Okay.
So I'm watching it. It's moving. It's moving now. You're 2 away.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden the truck goes off the map, and it's like they have a few more stops to make.
Oh no.
So
Can
I'm
I
like, wait a
meet? Can I
second.
meet the truck somewhere? I'll meet it.
I would have. So now it's going. I'm online. They're like, we don't even have any way to get in touch with the trucks. We have no idea. But it'll come by the end of the day. I'm like, well, I don't have heat.
I need it
and
now.
I believe it's the thermostat. I need it now. Sorry. So then I go to Home Depot and get a
Physical
thermostat.
store, yeah.
So get it. come back and I'll return the Amazon one, which, by the way, did not end up coming until about 9:30 that night.
Yeah. I've noticed that they're
Not helpful.
Not quite as.
On the way, though, I did see an Amazon truck with its flashers pulled over on the side of the road, like not near a house.
Yeah.
So I pull up next to it, and I'm like, hey, are you – because I think it was a lady named Christina. I'm like, are you Christina?
No.
She's like, no. I'm like, are you going to Pheasant Court? Because it was like 5 minutes from my house. I'm like, maybe. It's make jives with where I saw him.
Nope.
Yeah, no. So I'm like, okay, fine. People are honking at me because we're on a
like you're
2-lane
just
road.
driving around-
Yeah. People are
around
honking.
Amazon trucks and saying, hey, are you
Well,
coming to my house?
It was on the way to Home Depot, to be fair. I didn't go out of my way. People are honking at me behind.
Of course, they're
and
not
I'm
pleased.
Like,
What are
I'm
you-
like, enough. I'm trying to find my thermostat.
I got real problems,
Yeah, I got
people.
real problems. I got no heat in my house. So I go and get the thermostat. Gotta tell you something. I don't know if I've ever been more proud of myself. Took the old thermostat off, disconnected all the wires, all of it, hooked up the new one, which is a Google Nest,
Yeah.
wired it myself.
Let's go.
Got on the wall. Works. It's working. So
Beautiful.
I'm like, okay, get it going. What was happening was the thermostat would connect. It would go for 5 minutes, and then it would shut off and like shut off the power even back. So it felt, I'm like, okay, maybe something's like tripping. So I look, circuits are all good. Every time I would turn the switch off that's on your furnace, like it would go again, and then after 2 minutes, click off, same thing. So I'm like, okay, maybe something's shorting out. Get a guy on his way out. Happy to come on a Saturday. By the way, I have to say they took great care of me. A New Image. So if you're ever in a bind, a New Image, Anderson, they were unbelievable. But it is, as you know, that industry doesn't really work on the weekends.
No.
If you would like them in that situation, it's going to be a pretty penny. So my first guy, Tony, comes out. He looks at it. And he's like, I think it's this. And then we realize soon thereafter, not the blower fan's not coming on. So the reason it's shutting off is the heat's actually not blowing away, and now it's getting too hot, and it's shutting off as a safety.
Sure.
So you need to have that blower fan working. Well, how much might that be? Oh, it's about $1,700 on a 15-year-old furnace.
The rest is history.
He's like, that's like putting like a new something into a beater. That's what he called it. And I was like, okay. I said, okay, so now what are we talking about? We need a new furnace. Oh,
you do.
great. Okay. So he leaves. Wayne comes out after that, who couldn't have been nicer. We get it ordered that night, and they just installed it. And
they got it installed already?
They installed it this morning. So from Saturday to Monday. So New Image, thank you very much.
Good job out of them.
Yeah.
That's a quick
it's
turn.
a New Image, a new furnace. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So I got the notice while I was on my way here, actually, that from my Google Home that we got juice, baby. We're back.
When I saw Miss K, the great documentarian, post an image. This was probably Sunday morning when I saw it. An image of you with a stocking cap.
She
and
posted
a parka,
Sunday morning, like the parka, the warmest parka.
warmest parka you have, and a stocking cap.
Yes.
I'm going. Something is askew.
Oh,
Something
man.
is amiss
So we ended up.
at Zagura Manor.
So here's the other part of it. So this all happened Saturday that they come out and do all this stuff. Well, Saturday night we're hosting 3 other couples at our house for a bolognese that I made for 12 hours that I'd been working. Those were the images that were captured. And so we're like, hey, here's the deal. And they're like, no, we're forging ahead. Everybody was in.
Anytime you have 4 couples, total of
Counting
4
us,
couples?
yes.
Yeah. Anytime you have 4 couples and you're all trying to do something at the same time, it's super easy to find a date that works.
No,
it's always very easy.
It
If you could've
automatically
just
went like, if we don't do this, it's going
I'll
to be
see you in June.
April. Would be the earliest first date that was thrown out.
There's no way.
So
Anybody who has children, it's over. There's no play. It's all occupied. There's no free days.
So we decided to forge ahead. I gotta say, Miss K was a trooper. I think at first she was not. I'd call it lukewarm to the idea. But then she got warmed up to the idea, and we have everybody over. Now I did something that is probably not recommended, but we ended up getting some this part's recommended. Some oil-filled radiator type heaters.
Okay.
They work so much better than the towers. Like
Yeah.
a blowing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just fills up, gets hot, and radiates that heat around.
Let's go, baby.
So we had that. We had one of those in the living room. We had one in our bedroom. We had a couple more, 3 other heaters in the kitchen. We had the fireplace going.
Jeez.
But what I really did, what turned the tide,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's recommended, so I'm going to go ahead and preface that. I don't think this is for the faint at heart. I'm like, we got to get it up into the 60s.
Yeah.
Gotta
We
get into the
at least
60s.
hoodie weather.
So I go down and we have one of those tall propane torches that you'd see, at a restaurant outdoor that has kind of like that metal circle around it that reflects the heat back down. So I go and do that. I look at, can you do this? I look up online, obviously, Miss K with child, we have to be very, very careful.
Be very careful, yeah.
And they said, the only danger, it's really not dangerous, but if there was a danger, it would be that it would run, that carbon monoxide would be emitted.
Sure, yeah.
So we have carbon monoxide, thanks to Nana, we have carbon monoxide detectors on every level of our home. Recommend it for all of you.
Yep.
It's a silent killer. So I put those right where the torch was, 2 of them, so we could double up, and if one was faulty, there's no way they're both faulty. Well, I guess there is a way, and ran it, and that sucker
that'll do it.
Changed the whole house.
Yeah.
In not that long of time, and then we turned it off, got it out of there safely, but got the heat back, and we were in a great spot. So that was the tale of woe.
That's
and then
48 hours, buddy.
Sunday woke up, still nothing, lots of fire. Now the kids are coming over, and so we had gotten enough to kind of get the first floor, but now we have people sleeping upstairs.
Hot air rises, you're fine.
There's not a whole lot of hot air.
But what about all
the
those
house?
furnaces and the oil things and all of that?
Yeah, there's still not a ton. It turns out it's not. It doesn't transfer to
Could
other areas of the house.
Fire in Bryce's room, Boy Scout style.
Yeah, so they both were like, "No." I'm like, "Do you guys?" I said, "You can take these space heaters to your rooms, and use them because when we're sleeping, we just need it in our room, and then we'll get the rest of the house going when we get up." And they're like, "No, we like it cold when we sleep." So they all went to sleep great, and then when they woke up, they were freezing.
Of course, yeah.
And now, fortunately, we won't have to deal again. But that was my tale
48
of
hours,
woe.
brother.
It's just, and home stuff, being a homeowner is great. I love it. It comes with unexpected cost and stress and
it's also
a great many things.
It can be whatever they want the price to be.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. I need a
It's
furnace.
like the great Seinfeld where Costanza's explaining when Jerry's getting the Volvo the Saab looked at, and George talks about the Johnson rod. I don't even know what a Johnson rod is. Oh yeah, you gotta have a Johnson rod. Same thing with this. The blower doesn't work. Let's just get you a new heater. You don't. Yeah, you hope. I mean, they're reputable, great dudes.
I did.
You trust them, but at the same time, you're
Yes.
who knows?
Who knows?
He could tell you anything. He'd say, actually, this new heater isn't even good enough. You need 6 times this for this size house, and it's going to be $75,000. You'd be like, well, I guess that's
I
the
would
price.
not.
I don't know.
I would not guess.
That's
that.
how
Yeah.
crazy it is. It's
Well,
just
fortunately,
nuts.
the kid who was manages a great many of properties and
very
is a real
prominent.
estate mogul. He has obviously a guy, and so we ran everything, and his guy was like, just off the initial night, and was like, yeah, no, you're good.
You're
and then
good, yeah.
They came in, and as I said, New Image, they crushed it and gave me a great deal, and I am so grateful to get me in. I can't imagine, this is a time where I imagine a lot of people are in fairly dire straits.
Yep.
And so, thank you. Heat is back.
There you go.
We're
Have
back.
you ever had a carbon monoxide alarm go off in your house?
No, thank goodness.
We were Payton was 2.
I bet that
NBC
was a
2.
terrifying moment.
Beamsy was 2 months.
Yeah,
2
new,
months.
fresh.
Yep. And we had just moved in a month earlier to a house that we had down in Wedgwood in Columbus, and we it was kind of middle of the day, and all of a sudden they went off. And if you've never had one go off, they don't sound like fire alarms. They are louder. And ours, the system
They
we
talk
had,
to you, right? They screw. They're like,
they do.
Get out.
Evacuate now, all of that. And they triggered to the fire department immediately. So we're like, what is going on? We've been here like a month. Like, what is happening here? And it was between Christmas and New Year's. And when I got the boys, it was a warm day. And for December, I remember that. It was in the upper 40s, low 50s. By the time we got outside, it looked like it was Rescue Me, the FX show, 6 fire trucks, ambulance. I'm like, we're fine. Everybody's fine. Do you feel? No, we're good. Everybody's out. It's just we're good.
yeah.
And we had to evacuate. They would not let us back in the house. The furnace had something that was wrong with it. We had to replace the entire furnace, and we had just moved into the house. But it was the same thing. We actually lived in my in-laws' house for a week while it was all taking place. So yeah, it's a mess. And then you're gonna, to your point, there's no way that they can fix it quick enough.
No.
Right? You're stuck.
Suck.
Yeah.
Well,
it's brutal.
It's been, I think, everything everything in my house from the major appliance standpoint was 15 years old, give or take. So the water heater went when we were in Philadelphia.
That's right.
For the Eagles game.
Yeah.
Now this furnace, and then I'm sure pretty soon the outdoor AC unit will
that's happening.
Will go.
As predictable as all that is, according to my children, yesterday's results were just as predictable. I was informed by them at the in the fourth quarter of the Bills Kansas City game that this was all predetermined, Dad. The Super Bowl logo is red and green, to which I lost it on them and said, I can't have you believing this. I can't have you guys being this ignorant. And my wife, she was like, it's a little harsh. I'm like, no, I can't have it.
Yep.
I cannot have it.
Yep.
Look, it's not the most. We both predicted this, right? Or did you pick Washington? I picked Philly to win, but not cover. So they obviously
and I picked Washington to win.
To win, yeah.
And then we both had Kansas City.
Both had Kansas City. So it's what I expected the Super Bowl to be. The first game got out of hand. There's the fumble after the missed field goal from Philly, the touchdown from Washington, then the fumble, and then the touchdown, and then it's kind of cooked, and they're chasing.
It was cooked when they fumbled the kickoff.
That's the one I'm talking about.
And then, so then Philly was able to go touchdown, and then they were going to get the ball to start. It was cooked.
That was done. And then you're trying to chase it, and that's it. It's funny. I'm curious if you had this experience watching Buffalo and Kansas City. To me, there was no drama because I knew he was going to get it again one way or another, Mahomes. I knew he had enough timeouts. I knew that they had the 2-minute warning. And I knew that if Buffalo even gave him 45 seconds, he was going to get down there. There was at no point where I thought Buffalo would win the game, truly. At no point. And
so
it was a great game.
I thought it was
But
possible that when they settled for the field goal that Allen could get them down and they could get a touchdown, and then there wouldn't have been any time left.
If he could have managed it right. I just didn't have faith that they could even manage that right.
The clock
aspect because there was still so much time on the fourth down. There was still a lot of time. Like they would have had to really milk first downs and be very efficient to be able to do it, and I just didn't have faith that they'd be able to do it. I thought they could score, but I thought they'd be like a minute 12 and no timeouts or something like that.
Or they'd settle for a field goal and try to run it out.
And then in which case I would say, well,
he's going to
go do it.
I mean, and we have plenty. We'll talk. Why not? We can talk a lot about these games, but the fact that and Romo, I thought, was great on the final Kansas City possession. He was on second down. He goes, you do not run it. You give Patrick Mahomes 2 chances to get a first down. And sure enough, the next play was that kind of sprint roll out to the right.
Yeah.
They pick up that first down. Because they almost picked up the first down too quickly, they still needed to get one more. And then on a third down, Samaje Perine, who had not touched the football in the game, is where they go with it, and he picks up the first down. It's just – that's incredible. They're incredible.
Like the Spags call on the blitz, on the corner blitz. They haven't called that all game, and then they do it on short field.
Yep.
So he's near the corner is nearest to Allen of anybody.
Yep.
And the way they just it just was perfectly called. It throws him off his spot, and then he's in scramble mode.
Yeah. Have you seen all the discourse between like Ben Solak and then
what's the beef?
And then Ryan Fitzpatrick chimed in.
No, what's the beef? What's the
It's not necessarily a beef. It was just Solak. Actually, he did a very good kind of 5-minute video about that play.
Okay.
And basically what he said is that the ball should have gone to Khalil Shakur, but he also understood why it didn't.
Okay.
Based on what happened pre-snap. So Solak says basically he thinks he should have swung it to Khalil Shakur. They ran kind of that orbit and return.
Yeah.
Now they run it, and he in his video, he has a 5-minute video. And Solak's very smart about the game. They have a 5-minute video, and a lot of it is showing them use this play, but it's always been against man. So they were expecting man.
Yep.
They don't get man, and so when they didn't get man, he's now thinking about throwing the return to Shakir. Now he gets the immediate pressure, 2 people unblocked. Now, at one point, Solak in his video stops it and says he's got still about 3 yards of distance. Now, granted, of people that are sprinting at him, he could have stopped, flipped his hips, and thrown it back to the left. I don't think that would have been possible. So,
I with all due respect to Ben Solak, and I have no idea what his playing history is.
I don't think
But if you were to be at any level of football and be the quarterback and to suggest that you can, with defenders going full bore and 3 yards of separation, as if that's enough time to do that.
Yep.
I don't
So
know
here's
that
what
you'd find that it is.
Here's what Fitzpatrick said in response to Solak. He said, I actually really like your passion and knowledge for the game, but sitting in your comfortable swivel chair with the heater on in the house and a clicker in the hand makes the game very easy. Having two unblocked, unimpeded defenders, believe it or not, is pretty difficult to navigate. In the interest of credibility, please don't ever pause the tape again to talk about the space between the unblocked full-speed rushers and how the quarterback just needs to turn his hips and make the throw. So that's one from Fitzmagic.
Same.
Said, I'm moving
I
this to
agree.
the top in case anyone wants to understand more. The blitz is impossible to pick up with a 5-man protection. The hope is that you're protected inside out so the free rushers are coming from the edges, not the middle. The two things that could have helped but hard to know pre-snap were sliding the line to the right and having the free edge rusher to your left where a good quick throw to Shakir was, or anticipating the blitz in the play call and leaving in more protectors or at least chippers. Spags loves the free safety blitz in big-time moments, so when the single receiver has a cut split, so tighter the formation, that blitz turns into a corner blitz, which is much harder to detect. And then he said, somebody said to Fitzmagic, how do you know all this stuff but the staff doesn't? Seems between Romo, Orlovsky, Fitz, there are answers to the Chiefs, i.e. Reed and Spags. How come no coaching staff in the NFL has these answers but the media analysts do? And Fitzpatrick said, well, that's the easy part, watching it happen, then criticizing or giving opinion. The difficult part is having answers for all the different possibilities that can come up and executing them in the game's biggest moments. Play callers are really good at what they do, but unfortunately they don't have the luxury of getting to hit pause and rewind during the game, which is very true. But here's the other thing.
There's also a 4th and 5.
4th and 5. So that's where they
on
use
an
that.
orbit swing out.
That's
I mean,
where they
you gotta
use it.
get,
So usually catches
Usually
at
you
about
want to throw it on the other side of the sticks. You don't want to have to get through the sticks if you can help it.
So they show, like, in the Solak video, which I'll retweet this whole exchange because then people can see what we're talking about in real time. In the Solak video, he shows where they use it in 4th down situations, and it basically is that the guy's got to win and catch it. He usually catches 11 yards short of the first down. And then
He's gotta
has
win
to
a
win
one-on-one
one-on-one,
or whatever.
or they out-leverage him because if it's man, lots of times when you run that orbit, you're passing it, but then when you return, they're confused, and so in most of the cases, he's gone out there pretty unchecked.
Yeah.
And then he's able to run in. So when he knew that it was zone and not man, then he said, all right, that's not where my first read's going to be. I'm not going to read the zone in the middle of the field. They have all the guys going there. Now, the fact is, he still made an unreal throw
He did.
that should have been caught by
caught.
Dalton Kincaid and
Yes.
was not.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, what he chose to do and execute with his arm, while maybe not necessarily the easiest. Now, I don't think he could have flipped his hips. When I watch this, he's on a full sprint back into his right at a 45-degree angle with guys closing. If he had to flip his hips, the ball's going to be thrown then in front of his body,
Yep.
which, by the way, is where the rushers are coming from. So he's actually, to throw it left, he's actually putting the
Got to
ball
throw it through him almost.
or putting it right where they can
Yeah.
bat it. So I don't think that was a realistic possibility, but good discussion, good discourse, good game. And then the Chiefs, their ability to just close it out right there and not play afraid because they just have the supreme confidence. They're incredible. And I think that
They are 17-1 in games they've tried this year.
Yeah. Who'd they lose to? I don't even remember.
Buffalo.
It was Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Buffalo had beaten them and the Ravens in the regular
believe
season.
that's
Or the
correct.
Ravens boat raced the Bills in the regular season. One of the two. I don't know. Maybe the Ravens boat raced the Bills in the regular season in
They
Baltimore.
beat the Chiefs 30-21 in Buffalo.
Yep.
They lost to the Ravens
to the Ravens.
35-10
In
the
Baltimore.
regular season in Baltimore.
Yeah, they got
so
both
their
those.
only loss they tried was a loss to
the Bills.
To the Bills.
I feel bad for Josh Allen. Thought he played a good game. Did you see that there are 6 playoff games in the history of the NFL where a team has scored 4 touchdowns without turning the football over and lost? It's only happened 6 times. The Bills have lost 2 of those 6 to the Chiefs.
Well, I did not see that. They've been ousted by them 4 of the last 5 times they've been in the postseason. They've been beaten by the Chiefs.
That has to hurt.
And dude, you
It has
watch
to
it.
hurt.
I couldn't help it when I'm watching it. It just reminded me of the empathy I felt for Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and all those guys. The only difference is this heartbreak is happening before the Super Bowl. Theirs happened in the Super Bowl.
And to the
but I
same
think that
team every time.
I think this is almost worse, and I'm going to tell you why. It's the same team every time, and almost every game is close. There's only one time the Chiefs boat raced them. That was the first, 2020. Every other game has been right down to the wire. That crazy overtime game a couple of years ago.
Change the rule.
Change the rule from that. So that's it. To me, it's almost more painful than the Super Bowl losses. Only one of those Super Bowl games was competitive. They lost to the Giants on the Norwood Miss.
Yep.
Other than that, they were raced
Smoked.
in all of them. But this, you're talking about 3 out of the 4 times the Chiefs have eliminated you, it's been tight, and it could have gone either way, and you couldn't get it done. And I'm watching Allen. The boys just cannot stand the Chiefs. I don't know if it's just all the winning and all that is my guess.
This is a bigger discussion to have. But
Sure. It's so easy to root for Buffalo,
of course,
for obvious reasons. But yeah.
But why do we? And I said this
Same
on
thing
Friday.
with the Warriors. Same thing.
Why do we hate greatness?
We don't. I think
We like it, and then we're like, okay, now you're too great.
We like it to a point, and then it's too great, and then you got to start tearing it down. I think you become sick of seeing the same things. We get sick of so much success. It happens in college sports all the time. All the time.
Those
in
are
college
rigged
sports.
games, though. Not the games are rigged, but that is a rigged setup in terms of your ability to spend money now. Or
in the old days, it wasn't though. Like
right.
I can think of many of instances, whether it was Tebow, Tyler Hansborough, like Leitner in a previous generation, Grant Hill, like you accomplish so much, and then it's like we love you, we love you, we love you. Then oh my God, just go away. I see it with the Heisman all the time, like where they don't want to give it to somebody a second time because they're just fatigued. And I think it was this way with the Bills. I think it was this way with the Warriors. I'm sure it was this way with the Lakers and the Bulls. Maybe not the Bulls. It feels like nobody really hated the Bulls. But the rest of those teams,
them out though. It was like three and
three with 2 off in between. But yeah, I think it's just fatigue of seeing the same thing over and over and over again. But yeah, they can't stand him. I was like, at one point, Beamsy's like, Patrick Mahomes sucks. I'm like, dude, he's a lot of things, but it's not that.
No, he does not.
It is not that.
Quite the opposite, actually.
It is definitely not that.
But maybe it's because
I think it's just they get. The other thing is, and you have to remember this: when they're broadcasting an AFC Championship game, they are broadcasting not for the diehards who watch every game. They're broadcasting for everyone who's jumping into it now.
Yep.
So for every time that CBS decides to show Taylor Swift with Travis Kelce's parents, it's for those people.
Yeah,
they're not for those of us that watch every week.
game. Yeah,
it's for the people who are jumping in to watch late. Is what it is.
Why do you think, like for example, Tiger Woods or even Rafael Nadal? And I know we got to go in a second, but is it because those are solo sports that people don't get fatigue on them?
And it's only 4 events a year that matter. So you're not hit with it all the time. No one's watching PGA Tour and tennis other than the majors. Not really. So I think that's.
But didn't Nadal win on the clay?
He did, but
he never.
I just don't think anybody was
cares.
watching the French Open that way. The way the team sports are. Ross Tucker is going to join us coming up next. Those are your hot topics today, presented by UH, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. We hit out on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. He is Ross Tucker. He joins the program. He is the founder and CEO of MyFrontPageStory.com as well. We will have a little more detail on that, but of course, one of the foremost experts when it comes to football analysis. Ross, as you were taking in the games yesterday, and especially let's start with the second game, did you find yourself, just from a human perspective, which kind of pulled on you more? The just disappointment of Buffalo and Josh and all of it, or the excellence of Kansas City and Andy and Patrick and all of that?
Yeah, definitely the disappointment for Buffalo and all that. By the way, love the music coming back from break.
Let's go, baby.
Because NFL Primetime
That's right.
is
Yes.
my all-time favorite show in the entire existence of my life. That's my favorite show ever. So I love that music coming back. Shout out to your producer. And definitely was feeling sadder for the Bills. You know, I played for 5 teams, including a glorious month with the Browns in Berea
Yes.
in 06. But they were my favorite team I played for. And there's a lot of similarities between Buffalo and Cleveland. And I love those people. And I really thought it was time. I really thought they were going to get over the hump, and they were going to do it this year. And they just weren't able to. And I know a lot of people are talking about the officiating. I'd like to think, talking to a Cleveland audience, that they would realize, you know, I was just raised different, I guess, than a lot of people. You know, all my dad ever talked about was personal responsibility, taking accountability. I mean, if you're the Bills, how about not letting Mahomes go up and down the field and score over 30 points for the first time all season? Or even late in the game, you know they throw the ball in the flat to the running back, or Mahomes runs it. These guys are wide open, dude. Mahomes running it, wide open. Cole Bishop, their safety, has the ball in his hands, and he lets Xavier Worthy, like this little dude, rip it out of his hands. Dalton Kincaid drops the pass.
Yep.
You know, they have the play where Samuel's wide open on the crosser, and Josh misses him. Probably would have been 40 yards. You guys know how Curtis Samuel, the former Ohio State Buckeye, what he's like with the ball in his hands. Electric.
Yep.
You know, you get stuffed on the quarterback sneak multiple times, which A, shouldn't happen, but then B, you do it again? How about quarterback power with your 252-pound sledgehammer quarterback with a 7-yard head of steam? I'm just like, they got outcoached, they got outplayed, and so ultimately they deserve to lose. And I just think, you know, blaming other people or making excuses is one of the problems with our society these days.
Yeah.
For the most part, in sports, you get what you deserve. I thought the Bills deserved to lose the game.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about it? You brought up the sneaks that they ran over and over again. It felt like, from the way that Nance and Romo were describing it, and you've been in these production meetings, Ross, that the Chiefs knew if they sneak, they're going left, and they continually try to do it, and the Chiefs had the answer for it every time. It seemed like that was something that was a known tendency by the Chiefs, and if it's that known, and they're talking about it in production meetings, and then they go out and execute it, that you're right. To me, that is coaching. They were better prepared in those moments than the Bills were, and that can lead to the difference in an outcome.
Right. Now, I will say this. The Eagles go left every time as well, and still nobody stops.
Well, their tush push is special.
Because they have Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson. Mailata is 6'8", 370, and former Australian rugby player. So he has the technique down pat. And then Landon is 6'6.5", 360. I mean, those guys are just like movers of men. It's like, I mean, I played for 5 teams. I've been around some big dudes. Holy crap. I mean, the Eagles have 3 absolute monsters. And then Lane Johnson, the right tackle, is going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
And then the center, Jurgens, is a different type of freak show. So anyway, that's another story. But yes, I did not love anything about it, to be honest with you.
Well, you said it's another story. That was the other game, was the Eagles.
was.
7 rushing touchdowns. They would score 55 points in this one. They would take the football away 4 times. And you talk about getting what you deserve. You cannot go on the road in the NFC Championship game and give the football away the way in which the Commanders did. The Eagles made them pay. And then it ties into that line you were talking about. They had injuries. They didn't start the game with Cam Jurgens. He ends up playing in the second half. You don't have Landon Dickerson in that second half. What'd you think? And I know it's a team near and dear to your heart. What'd you think of what the Eagles were able to do and just the dominance that they showed in this game?
Well, yeah. I mean, I talked to several personnel people before the game, and depending on who you talk to, anywhere between 3 to 5 Washington Commanders would start for the Eagles.
Wow.
So, Jonathan Allen would start at D tackle probably next to Jalen Carter. I think Frankie Louvu would start at linebacker next to the All-Pro Zach Vaughn. Obviously, I think Jaden Daniels would start at quarterback, but I think that's kind of the problem, right? I mean, Jalen Hurts played really well. Even the other guys, Terry McLaurin, you're probably splitting hairs with him and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, same with the corners, Lattimore or Mikey Sanders still. That's an uphill battle. And so then you're going to allow Jalen Hurts to play the best he has in 2 months, and you're going to turn the ball over 4 times, and that's how you lose by 30 points. You cannot do that if you're the Commanders and have any realistic chance.
Ross, we're a long ways out, 2 weeks out before this Super Bowl, but just in terms of the way we've seen so much of these two teams, the excellence of Kansas City is unbelievable. 7 straight AFC Championship games, going obviously for a 3rd straight Super Bowl. This quarterback tracking down Brady and all of a sudden trying to do something Brady didn't do. That, I mean, how many people would have had that? On the other side, with Philly, it's probably as good a roster building over the last, 10, 15 years that we've seen. They've consistently been in the mix. Initially this was with Wentz, and then they pivot and they land Hurts, and then they build around him, pick up Barkley, like 2 just incredibly competent organizations headed for the Super Bowl. I know people are fatigued with them, but at the same time, there's a reason you keep seeing them.
Well, what's so interesting about it is, these guys, a lot of them were together.
Yeah.
If you think about, in Philly, I remember being at training camp, and Brett Veach, the Chiefs GM, was Andy Reid's, basically personal assistant. I don't know what his title was, but he was always around Andy Reid, and Howie Roseman was the GM, and they all worked together. So they have a lot of the same philosophies. I think that the Chiefs outcoach a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I think that obviously Mahomes is fantastic and they have talent. But, man, I really thought they outcoached the Bills yesterday in a bunch of ways. And then the Eagles, this is at least the second time in the last 3 years that they pretty clearly have the best roster. I mean, think about this for a second. They have the best O-line. They have the best running back. They might not have the best receiving duo, but they're top 5 with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Goddard's the top 5 tight end. Hurts hasn't really even played like a top 10 quarterback this year, but he did yesterday. They have the number 1 defense since the bye. I mean, it's just they're loaded. Mm-hmm. They just are, again. And it's unbelievable. Think about, they're just additions this offseason. First-team All-Pro linebacker Zach Vaughn, 2 of the 5 finalists for Defensive Rookie of the Year, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. Saquon, I think, he's one of the 5 finalists for MVP. I mean, those are 4 guys they all brought in this offseason, which I would say, if I'm a Browns fan, to bring it back to you guys, highly encouraging because of all the time Andrew Berry spent in Philly with Howie Roseman. And so, for them to bring in 4 guys like that in one offseason that are all up for awards, that just goes to show you can do some tweaking and make some major, major news. You
can. Just real quickly, the Zach Bond story to me is is one of the more remarkable in the league, it feels like, when you look at kind of what he was, what he had done in his career. He had 151 tackles this season. The 4 previous years, he had a grand total of 88 tackles. This was a guy who never was a full-time defensive player or starter, and now is and had this. Was that one of the more just incredible taking advantage of your opportunity? I mean, it was with Dennis Allen in New Orleans. You'd think they would have figured out how to get something out of him, but to have this type of a performance in this season, forces the fumble in the game yesterday, is really remarkable.
It absolutely is. I mean, that's the thing that I think about so often is, like, I'll give you the Zach Bond story. He was an on the ball Sam backer for the Saints.
Yeah.
Who, because of some motions or shifts, he had to shift off the ball to be an off the ball backer for like 25 to 45 snaps in New Orleans last year. The Eagles, I think, thought he'd be an edge rusher and special teamer, but Vic Fangio watched him and thought he could do it, and then he's the first team All-Pro linebacker.
Wow.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
It certainly is a great story. Speaking of stories, myfrontpagestory.com.
Yes.
Here, Ross, founder and CEO. This looks awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about it and how the folks can take advantage?
Yeah, it is awesome. And actually, I'm co-founder because it's a buddy of mine who's a writer for a local newspaper. It was his idea, and it's a genius idea because none of us know what to get our significant other for Valentine's Day. It's usually just flowers or take them out to dinner. And not to get too mushy or sentimental with you, I'm a huge believer in life and telling people how you feel about them. Life is short. We lose people. It's so important to make sure your loved ones, your significant other knows just how special they are. To be able to talk to a writer for 10 minutes while you're driving home from work, tell them how great your wife is or whatever. You can fill out an email if you want. They write this incredible story. Look at they get on the cover of the newspaper. Like, they cover the plain deal. Or pictures of you and her, kids if you have them.
That's awesome.
It's framed. And just when she's opening it, to be able to say, I wanted something special, babe, so I had a story written about you. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then when they actually read the quotes, I never thank her enough for everything she does for me and the kids, they cry almost every time. It's like a next-gen stat. 95% cry rate. My
That's winning.
front page story, and I have it hanging up in the house forever. So it's like the gift that keeps on giving. Trust me, myfrontpagestory.com, or at least just go and throw your email address in there so you get the 20% discount email right away. myfrontpagestory.com. Best Valentine's Day gift ever.
You'd know, brother.
She'll
Good stuff.
cry, you'll win.
That's it.
That's it.
Stacking dubs. Appreciate your time, pal. Thanks for giving us a little bit of it today.
Sounds great. See you guys.
All right, there it
thanks,
is. Ross Tucker joining us on the Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea Hotline. Official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Lots to reflect on in the 2 championship games. We'll do that.
Yes.
Lots of news around the league as well. It's coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, boost your game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet at $25 or more. You get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. We haven't had a chance to talk about these two games as much. We did kind of some big overarching things, and we'll also get into some around the league. We had a lot of coaching stuff that happened over the course of the last couple of days. Do you want to do NFC or AFC first as a little bit of an expanded conversation?
In terms of the game?
Yes.
I don't have preference.
I want to talk about the roster building in Philly.
Okay.
Because what Ross talked about with us it struck me, and hopefully the idea that this is kind of all from this same tree, this Kansas City-Philly connections. There's so many of them. I think it's a real marvel that these two organizations are the two because, and it tells you that it can happen anywhere. When the Eagles had one of the longest droughts between championships in the National Football League before they finally won a couple of years ago, but they've been getting at bats at this really for 2 decades. If you think of Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb and what they had 20-some years ago, and then they had this run they've had now with Sirianni, and they've had this ability to be close. They had it with Doug Peterson as well.
It was initially 17.
Yeah, it was
Jim
initially
Schwartz.
going to be. Yeah, of course. Initially, this was Wentz. This build was around Wentz, and then they pivoted quickly. Anybody in the league could have Jalen Hurts.
He was picked in the second round.
He was in the second round. He was there. They liked him. They liked his talent. They nurtured his talent. They put in a system that fit his talent. There's an open-mindedness with them that I think is really enviable, how they put players in position to succeed. And they have become really one of the – this has been this way for a while. It's Philly, people have always wanted to play in Philly, but even more so now. Like they get guys wanting to go there, and they just do everything right. It's just I think to do it with a bunch of different quarterbacks and to constantly be in the mix – it's a really tough thing to do, but it's how you build a roster with incredible depth of talent. They've done it.
And Quinion Mitchell, their first-round pick, hit. Cooper DeJean hit. Yep. Like all the guys, their draft picks are hit. Jalen Carter is a monster.
Yeah.
The kid they got from Georgia has had a great run in the playoffs. Nolan Smith, I want to say.
Nolan
the edge
Smith,
rusher. Yeah. He was a first-rounder.
Jalen Carter's a beast. Like
they've got some real dudes. And one of the things that was interesting is you kind of look at this season – Kellen Moore comes in, right, and he's the new OC. Their first 4 games this year, they go 2-2. Here's Jalen Hurts' pass attempts, 34-30, 38-30, okay? Mm-hmm. Including the NFC Championship game, so he threw 30 or more passes in 4 straight games to open the season. Including the championship game, so that's a lot of games now.
Yeah.
He's thrown 30 or more passes in just 1 game after those first 4. So they had 4. They had the bye week, then they come out against us. And what they decided was we are going to be a running team. And now that caused some dissension. Jalen Hurts does not have a 300-yard passing game this season. Jalen Hurts, since the game against us, he threw for 264. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games since then. He's thrown for 250 yards once. They've become a running team. In fact, he's been under 200 yards passing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those 13, below 200 yards passing. They became a running team. That was one of the things they talked about on the broadcast I thought was actually good and insightful and what was, I thought, a pretty lackluster broadcast. But they talked about how Kellen Moore, and he's built on the pass, came in and said, we're going to run the ball and we're going to lean on Saquon Barkley. We're going to get Jalen Hurts obviously involved as a runner, which they were doing early in the season anyway, but continued to do so more so as the season went on. You think about it from a short yardage standpoint, the guy's got in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, he's got 7 rushing touchdowns, including 3 in this one. So I think they just did a good job of kind of shifting into their thing. Now, it caused some tension for a while with A.J. Brown.
Sure.
Because he and Devontae Smith both had their numbers go way down this year. But they have overcome injuries early in the season to A.J. Brown. Middle of the season, Goddard got hurt against us and missed a good chunk of the season. And they kept rolling. But they've built an incredible roster. They are very talented, and they know exactly who they are. And I thought, while all the replays show there was definitely a hold that should have been called and they got away with it, that game was actually still in the balance. I believe it was 30. Let's see if I get in the game cast.
They scored 21 in the fourth.
It was
34
they cut it to
I think it was 34 to
23 to 34. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, it's 11, but like it feels like it could be a game.
Sure.
And then they go 21 unanswered. But the biggest play was on that first drive of the fourth quarter. I think it was they faced 3rd and 10, and that's where Hurts threw an absolute dime to A.J. Brown. 1-on-1, they go score, and then that was pretty much it. But had they gotten stopped there, you never know. Maybe things change. But he did what he had to do when he had to do it. 246 yards for him, by the way. That's the second most that he's thrown for in the last 13 games. Look at where's he going today? What is this today?
Look at this.
Look at this. That's like a casual power.
My God.
Are you serious? Look
my
at the
God.
jackets. Like the jacket's unbelievable. DiGeronimo in the house.
Look at that.
Oh, man. Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
That looks formidable.
I mean, he looks like he's going to a Hollywood premiere.
He does. He does. It looks like he could all of a sudden start snapping.
Oh, he
his
could do that
fingers.
too. He could do that too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wasn't ready for that.
No,
But
that was.
Saquon rips it off 60 yards on the opening play, tone setter. The Commanders, you just can't fumble like that. Yeah. Oh, you know what that is? That's a Grayson. That's a Grayson where it's kind of like the vest but with sleeves, like my LACC one.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's an HSG Grayson kind of one of those numbers. That's a nice product there.
Does it have a logo on the front too?
Yes, I think it's got the HSG logo on the front.
Okay.
Yeah, that's stout, formidable.
Yeah.
What do you got? The Air Max. Those are the
Air Max. Yeah. Those are the
are
90s.
the 90s.
90s.
Yeah, the 90s. Yeah, is he going to come in here? Come on in here. Come on in here. Take a
Oh,
bow.
jeez. Why not? Jeez. What a guy. On the other side,
You can't turn the ball over like that.
can't. And here's the thing for Jaden in Washington is you come further faster than anybody thought.
Yep.
And now there will be tape. People will adjust to this much as they did in Houston with C.J. Stroud, and it was a step back. Him statistically this year, they accomplished the same as a team. But the key for Washington now is going to be putting pieces around him, and I think it's critical that Cliff sticks around and
Yes.
that there's a consistency for him.
Yes.
In coordinators and someone who sees the game like he does. It obviously worked this year, but now they can add to it. And Washington will be a place people want to play again forever. The ownership didn't allow for it. They never had consistent quarterback play. Now they got a young superstar quarterback. They've got an ownership group that is well-known and well-funded, and they're building a new stadium. They're getting rid of all of the stuff that bogged them down for 20-plus years. This playoff run was gravy for them. They had already had their dessert. I mean, it was all of it.
The thing is, it's not easy to get back there.
No.
And that's going to be the hard part they're gonna deal with. But I thought they had a chance in this game. You got the Diami Brown fumble. They score. I think they scored a touchdown off of all 4 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was
you have that right.
28 points off of turnovers. The backbreaker was at the end of the first half. You're down, I think it was 21 or 20 to 15, something like that. Let's see if I can figure it out. You are down, end of first half. They score, McLaurin scores, it's 14-12. They go for 2, they don't get it. Hurts scores, it's 20-12. You're getting the ball back on the kickoff, and you fumble that kickoff, and then they score and make it 27-12. They did a great job to get a field goal, but then, of course, you knew that Philly was getting the ball. That too catastrophic. Like, you can't have score, fumble the kickoff right back to them, score 14 points, boom, boom, boom. I think they went for 2 on one of them, so it ended up being 6 and 7, so 13. But that was just a brutal sequence, and you're not going to win that way. Now, in the middle of all this, I do have to say, and I'm going to throw it out here and see if there's any pushback. I watched the play like 3 times. I think Tress Way may have thrown the best pass a punter's ever thrown. It was
I never thought of it in that context.
feathered on a seam.
It's pretty good.
Over a defender and in front of another one.
Yeah.
I mean, that was not it wasn't just
No.
like, oh, they're not covering the gunners and they just run and you throw it out to them, or, oh, the gunner runs this way and he runs an out and they just weren't expecting it. That guy's running a seam with an underneath defender that he had to feather that ball over.
Thanksgiving 2016, Pat McAfee.
Mac better than that?
It's a good one.
All right, that's a good one.
The G-Man's back, by the way.
I thank goodness.
The G-Man is back. He's back and better than ever. By the way, you're listening to 850 ESPN Cleveland WKNR, a good karma brand station.
He's everywhere. How's he over here? How'd he do it?
How'd he go from there to there?
He's got the Air Max. He's got the the jacket. Look at the jacket.
He's I Dream a Genie. He just goes wherever he needs.
It's good. It's good. He looks ready. He looks ready. He's like Rocky. He looks like he's
He
ready to
is.
go.
Yeah,
Like
he's ready to
Rocky
go.
Balboa. Jeez Louise,
Teleported.
man. He did. He was over there. And then he ended up this way.
It started there.
He just popped out. I think he wanted more, to be honest, I think he wanted more adulation. And he got it.
He deserved it.
Worthy indeed.
AFC, we spent a great deal of time talking about a lot of it. You want to get into the hatred of the Chiefs? I know there will be a lot of time to discuss
Sure.
this. Were the people you were with, were you just with you and Miss K, or who was watching with you?
Yeah, me and Miss K.
My
mom actually even watched the first half. Nana
was in the mix.
And every now and then I'd even get El Boots would poke his head up. I'm like, big play here, Boots.
Big one.
And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
How about Pedro? Did he weigh in? Is he full of conspiracy?
So I mean, yeah, he sends me all the he sends
penalties aren't called on them.
The absurd ones
stuff.
where it's like Mahomes kissing the ref and all the all the nonsense.
Yeah.
So yes, but at the same time, he said that Mahomes reminds him the most of Steph Curry, who he loves. So he's like, all right, well, at least it was like NFL Steph. So he can't lose.
Lose.
No, he can't lose in that situation. Look, I don't think the officials didn't cheat for them. I didn't think.
No.
At all.
No.
In fact, on that fourth down play, so that's the one that everybody's going to. All I said, whatever they called it, it's going to be. And people are making a big deal because the referee at the top started kind of over the line and then ended up inside the line. The referee on the bottom was always inside the line. Folks, I don't know if you know this, but they don't have the yellow lines on the field in real life.
No.
And I also don't know.
Say this.
I also don't know if people understand how wide an NFL field is.
No.
Is it 66 yards, 65 yards, something like that?
Yeah. The idea
G-Man, how wide is the NFL field?
1 second. 1 second.
It's easily Googleable. My point is they're running 30 yards in.
Yep.
Maybe 25 yards in. So we're talking 75.
160 feet, 53.3 yards.
All right. 53.3 yards.
Okay, so you're running 26 and
Change.
0.75 to get to that. That's to the middle. So you're running 20 yards, whether it's 60 feet, whatever. You don't run that in a dead straight line.
No.
So even if they wanted to and they're focused on where they want to end up, and that's where they're running to, which is it's not an easy thing to do. Now, I do believe in tennis where the ball's moving 100 miles an hour,
yes,
they have the ability to know if it caught the very smallest piece
sure
of
do.
that computer thing, and it's awesome. If it touched they know.
Stopped immediately. In, out. They see it right away.
We should be able to know if the ball or any portion of it crosses that line.
Of course.
So let's do that. Let's get that right. That play was always going to be whatever they called. There's no way you could overturn it.
No.
And the thing is, when Allen was at his closest to the point, and maybe it did get over, he was close with his back with the ball on this side of him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's impossible.
We have the technology to know exactly where the ball is on the field at all time. We have the technology to know exactly what 10 yards is every time. We have the technology not to have two human beings running with chain between two sticks trying to get it accurate. This is all available. The Sky Judge you and I have been talking about for years. I don't understand
Well,
why
they're going to
they
this
have
year.
to. I mean, this is so simple to get.
Just get
this
these
right.
penalties right.
Just get it right.
Get it right. Now, again, back to that fourth down. Now, I think maybe one of the differences, and I could be wrong, but this could be an issue with it, or maybe the solution is because with a tennis ball, other than when it's compressed on the racket for that second, it's basically one shape. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where the chip is. My guess is it could be in the middle. Then it knows the radius to get to any point on the ball.
Yeah.
The difference with an
There's
NFL
people that go to MIT that do
they
these
can figure
things.
this out, but with
They
an
can figure it
NFL
out.
ball,
Yeah. It's not us.
it's oblong.
Yeah.
So if the ball's position matters in terms of where it is, right? So if you're going I think we have football right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, pass the Chief ball. Pass that ball guy all over here. So if this is my paper is a first down, that's a first down. But if the ball's like this, not a first down.
Right.
With the same GPS, so they got to figure out how to know it's the angle. So maybe you need to have a chip in each nose, but also on each end of here. And if any
That's what
part
I would
of
do.
it,
I'd have one in the
Boom.
middle, and I'd have two on the ends.
so you'd have to have here,
two in the middle and two in the
here,
ends.
and here. So you might need 6 different points.
It's fine.
Well, 2, because it could be like this as well.
We have the technology for it.
I think we have the technology for it. I think that it's important to get these things 100% right.
Get it right.
Get it right. I thought overall, good job. I thought that in the critical moments of that game, the Chiefs executed not only defensively with that blitz and the disguise of it, they out-executed the Bills, and they out-executed them on, a clutch fourth down, and they out-executed them on the sneaks, and they out-executed them when they needed to get those first downs to ice the game. They did it.
It was so cool, man. Those plays they called when they're icing the game, and it's so
P.
easy.
Ryan had
It's
not
just-
touched the ball.
No, and they snuck him out, and no, it was all of it. By the way, I would not have had a year ago Kareem Hunt getting 17 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown in the AFC Championship
Awesome.
game. It's so
Doing his
cool, like
push-ups
coming
is
full
so
circle.
cool.
Like, remember, he missed the Super Bowl with them, and now he's going to get the chance. So
The
it's
interesting
really
thing
cool.
is
I'm really happy for him.
And by the way,
My wife was like, "Wait, that's Kareem." I'm like, "Yeah, that's Kareem Hunt." Sure enough.
and it took a devastating injury to
Of course.
Pacheco. He doesn't join them until the end of September.
Yep.
He was nowhere in the league. It's amazing that on the season, and one of the things we talked about, look, he doesn't break off chunk runs. He just doesn't.
No.
His longest run on the season was 20 yards. He had one 20-yard rush, which came again the game against Houston in the regular season finale. But he gets you a few tough yards, and that's what he does.
If they need 3, he gets 4.
Yes.
If they're within 2 of the end zone, it's going in the end zone. Like, it's just
Yeah, he's-
4th and 1, he's getting it.
3.6
He's
yards
getting
a carry this year. 200 carries, 728 yards. He had 3 yards a carry with us, 3.8 the year before. I saw something that actually ticked me off that I just want to address real quickly. I don't remember who said it. But somebody said that we never, ever used Kareem Hunt properly.
Jeez.
And I'm like, wait a second.
Let's
Go back to the year 2020 when Kareem ran for 841 yards, 6 touchdowns, averaged 4.2 a carry, also had 38 catches, 340 yards, and another 5 touchdowns. The guy produced 1,145 yards and 11 touchdowns. We used him properly. And then if you go back to 2021, he was on pace to do the exact same thing. And in fact, his injury in the middle of the season was devastating to the Browns at that time. And on that one, in half of a season, he was on pace for another 1,100 total yards and 10 or more touchdowns.
Yeah,
so
no.
he
That's just not
absolutely
right.
was used properly here in Cleveland. It just there has been a deterioration of his
We saw that
skill
last
set,
year.
and you saw it last year.
Even
Kansas
this year.
City has an unbelievable line, and they have the threat of Mahomes. At the end of the day, any defense is going to say, okay, we would rather have Kareem Hunt running this football.
Yeah.
We'd rather have Isaiah Pacheco. It's not a knock on Kareem, on anybody running it than having Mahomes do what he does. But it's awesome. And if you're a Kareem Hunt fan, you should be thrilled for him.
I'm thrilled
because, unfortunately, he wouldn't have made that big of a difference in this season.
No.
But
for
here,
them,
he gets to go win a Super Bowl, maybe.
Go
And
hang
it's
a banner.
awesome. I love Kareem Hunt. When he got in the end zone, the first one did the push-ups.
Yeah.
It was just like 2020 when he does that against the Steelers in that game. It was great.
It'll be February 9th. It'll be in New Orleans. It is Super Bowl 59 is the Chiefs and the Eagles. All right, coming up next, we will do a little positional review in the wide receiver room and where we can address some help here, if anywhere. We'll get to that coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And back for another season from your four-legged companion is year 3 of Barking Backers, presented by Milkbone, the fan club for dogs. View membership options and join today at barkingbackers.com. Time for another position review. We are in the wide receiver room where we had ourselves a breakout this season. For the specifics, we turn to Dr. Z.
In a year that was a Commander Heatherly special, there was actually some joy in the wide receiver room, and you mentioned it, the breakout of Jerry Jeudy. So the Browns trade for Jerry Jeudy, never has a 1,000-yard season, and he has a historically good season in Cleveland Browns history. I believe 5th most yards overall in a single season, 1,229. Sets the Browns record for the most receptions in a single season with 90. That's a new franchise record. So he did something, that had never been done before. 90 receptions, 1,229 yards, both career highs for him, 4 touchdowns, averaged 13.7 yards a catch, made his first Pro Bowl as well. He was the bright spot. Now, there were some other players in the wide receiver room that were good, but it was a season that's going to ultimately be, kind of racked by injury and then what I would call substandard play. And it started with Amari Cooper, who was going in the year to be the 1. Jeudy was going to be the number 2 or the 1A. Amari Cooper caught 24 of his 53 targets with the Cleveland Browns in 6 games for 250 yards, 10.4 a catch, 2 touchdowns, and led the league in drops.
Yep.
Led the league in drops. Now, that trade, now that we know that the Bills are out, that trade has now netted the Browns number 94, I want to say. Pick number 94 overall in the 3rd round. So that's what you get for Amari Cooper. But he was supposed to be your 1 in a year where he had, and I'm pretty sure this is kind of amazing, I'm pretty sure last year he had exactly 1,250 yards. Do I have that right?
I'll pull it up.
I do. Yes. 1,250 yards he had for the Browns in 2023. He has 1,000 fewer yards the following season. In 23, he averaged 17.4 yards a catch. His success rate was 53%. His catch rate was almost 60%. This year's success rate his yards per catch drops to 10.4. Success rate 35.8. His yards per game down to 41 from 83, cut in half exactly. And his catch rate dropped to 45%, the lowest of his career. That was the lowest success rate of his career and catch rate of his entire career. So I don't know what happened. Not a factor in Buffalo at all. I mean, Amari Cooper.
No, even in his 8 games in Buffalo, it's 20 for 297 in 8 games.
Right.
And it just wasn't there. I mean, it's only 2 touchdowns. He had 4 targets and 4 catches on the touchdowns in the championship game yesterday, but just was not a part of their offensive plan.
In the playoffs, he had in 3 games, 8 targets, 6 catches, 41 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah, it was
6 catches for 41 yards in 3 games in the playoffs.
I don't know what happened.
I don't get it. A great dude, committed to the craft. Now, he made some comments that made it sound like he hadn't necessarily maintained some of the things he had done in the past, but he was one of the great route runners, great hands, big plays, and set the Browns franchise record for most receiving yards in a single game on Christmas Eve last year down in Houston. Yeah. It was stunning. Elijah Moore was your number 3. He ended up the season 3rd on the team with 61 catches. He ended up 2nd on the team, 538 yards, only 1 touchdown, though. Career low 8.8 yards per catch for Elijah. So it's been interesting. Last 2 seasons, career highs in catches, but 8.8 yards a catch. That is, his yards per catch have gone down every year in his career. Part of it's how he was used. 12.5 his rookie season with the Jets, 12.1 his second season, 10.8 his first year with the Browns, 8.8. He's a free agent at the end of the year. I still like Elijah, but it hasn't unlocked, I don't think, in the way that many thought it would, when he was coming out of Ole Miss and so highly regarded, so productive at Ole Miss. Now, I mentioned Amari, and then now we get into the injury portion of the program. And Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman misses the final 6 games of the year with a concussion. He had a 3-game stretch where you're like, maybe we've got something here. Cincinnati, 8 for 81. Baltimore, 7 for 99 and 2 scores, including the game winner. Chargers, 6 for 75 and a touchdown. New Orleans, 3 for 47, and then he gets hurt early in that Pittsburgh game. We don't see him again. And so Cedric Tillman's got the size. He's got all of those things, catches his first 3 NFL touchdowns. But then you just don't get to see it enough, and you wonder, what do we have in him? you like the size, you like the speed, showed the ability to get vertical, showed the ability to make plays, obviously did well when Jameis was in there with him. But, now he's coming back from this concussion. Fortunately, he's not come back from a leg injury, doesn't have to, relearn how to run or any of those things. But, what do you have there? Because right now the one receiver, and he's under contract, he'll go in his third season, that you can count on is Judy. Elijah Moore, free agent. Tillman is back, but coming off an injury. We traded Amari Cooper. Michael Woods is the next most productive receiver on your team with 7 catches for 65 yards on 17 targets. Then you get down to David Bell, who got injured in the first game. He had 3 catches for 27 yards. Jamari Thrash had 3 for 22, your draft pick this year. There just isn't. Yeah, Darden had 1 catch for 6 yards. James Prochet had 3 for 21. There's not a lot there. So when you talk about a room that needs some help, it's the receiver room. Now, we've traded for a receiver, I believe, in 3 straight off seasons. Amari, Elijah, and Judy. I think you can bring Elijah Moore back relatively inexpensively.
Yep.
But I think you need to add another big-time talent to that room.
You need a primo weapon to be added to this room. There has to be somebody else added to this room that is feared, no matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
It can't just be Jerry Jeudy. It can't be. And the Tillman thing was so wild in terms of how long he was down. And, I mean, he's going into his 3rd year. I think regardless, and hopefully that he comes back and he's full and everything that we saw the flashes of before the injury, maybe that's who he is. Let's hope. But at the same time, major influx of talent needs to happen in this room. There's got to be somebody else that is feared in this room.
Now, here's the good news, is that you have a great deal of assets and or picks in this draft to kind of turn things around. And this is courtesy of our good friend Andrew Siciliano. With that, we got now the 94th pick in the draft, and we have got, I believe, well, I thought I'd liked that. Maybe I retweeted it. Hold, please. One second.
Yep.
1 second.
Yep.
There we go. Profile posts. Here it is. Yep. The Browns are projected to have 12 picks in this draft, including 5 in the top 102. 5 in the top 102. So that could be. You're hoping those are impact players. Here's the problem. When we're talking about the receiver room, definitely need additions there, significantly so. You need a quarterback. You maybe need 2 quarterbacks in this draft, plus a free agent. You might need a whole new quarterback room.
Yeah.
Give DTR obviously the ability to compete. You need another premier wide receiver. I think it's pretty safe to say you need an offensive tackle.
Yep.
Whether it's you've got DeJuan coming back off of injury, he has unfortunately not been able to finish. I believe he's going to be a stud left tackle, but you also have Jack Hunt. You don't have a 3rd tackle right now on the roster. We did that position, I think, while I was gone. We played the tackle one. They're all leaving. They're all free agents. We need a running back. Mm-hmm. This is a loaded draft for that. We probably need another tight end. David Njoku's getting a little older. Akins is older. We don't have a young, if we're going back to what we were doing, it's 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. You need a tight end. So that's 5 clear positions of need on the offense. And that doesn't even touch the fact that we probably need another defensive tackle, probably need a linebacker. We don't know what's going on with JOK. You can never have too many corners. Are we ready to turn everything over to Ronnie Hickman at free safety? You're losing, McLeod there. It's the last year of Thornhill's deal. The guaranteed money's up there, so you don't know what's going to happen, how that's going to look, as we have to probably be judicious with our spend. So you've got a lot of needs. It's a good thing you have 12 picks. You've got a lot of needs on this football team, but they've got it.
They got to be dudes. They're going to be some dudes who plug and play.
Well, you need a dude at quarterback. You need a dude at receiver. You need a dude at running back, and I think you need a dude at tackle. Now, could you be fine with Nick Chubb and Ford for a season?
Sure.
I think absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me just say that. So you could push that down, but this draft is so loaded with running back talent that it probably makes sense to invest in that.
You need weapons.
You need weapons.
You need 2 big weapons. You need really 3.
You need quarterback.
Quarterback
first and foremost,
without question.
Yes.
Then you need another weapon on the perimeter, and I think you need a weapon in the backfield.
And it could be that you sign a free agent receiver that you like, and you go into it with that free agent. Judy is your one. Bring back Elijah on a relatively inexpensive deal. You get Tillman back. You bring in one more receiver that you really think rounds out that room, And maybe that weapon is a tight end. Maybe it's a pass-catching tight end to go with, Jordan Akins. I just don't know how long he'll be here. Jordan Akins was 4th on your team with 40 catches and 390 yards, believe it or not, this season. So he can do it, but yeah, you need, unfortunately, a lot of things. And this is a receiver room that doesn't look as good going into this season, certainly as you felt like it was going into last season. And so I do think there need to be some additions there. I think a lot of people believe, now that we're kind of seeing it, that Travis Hunter is the number 1 receiver in this draft.
So interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because I saw Kuiper identify him as a receiver who would play some corner.
Yep.
How did Jeremiah? I know we'll get to his mock draft tomorrow.
He was the same. He
Same.
said he views him as an offensive player that will
full-time offensive player.
At defense, I think is what he said.
Yeah, moonlights on defense. Full-time offensive player. You got McMillan from Arizona, but that's early. But to me, again, we'll go through this. This spoiler, the Jeremiah draft, I'd be like, what in the world is going on?
Right. Yeah. I think I'm surprised with that. I mean, those two know. But I'm surprised that they've identified Hunter as receiver who plays corner. To me, I would think it would have been the opposite, that he was a corner who plays 10 plays at receiver. I just don't see a scenario where you run the full receiver, all the responsibilities of a full-time receiver, number 1, to go high in the draft, and then you can also run out and play like 6 plays a game in nickel or whatever. I don't know. We've never seen
anything like it. No, so that's true.
He can do it though. Maybe, I don't know.
I will say one thing that is very clear to me is you need to score the football.
Yes.
That's what this league is about. I'm going to run through some things, and 14 teams make the playoffs, right? That's it.
That's the number, buddy.
Okay. Detroit was number 1. They were the number 1 seed. Number 1 scoring offense, number 1 seed. Buffalo was 2nd. Baltimore was 3rd. Tampa was 4th. Washington was 5th. Philly was 6th. All of them playoff teams. The only team, 7th was Cincinnati in terms of scoring. Not a playoff team, but
right.
Nobody wanted their smoke at all.
No.
Green Bay, 8th playoff team. Vikings, 9th playoff team. Denver, 10th playoff team. Arizona, 11th, not a playoff team. Kansas City, 12th playoff team. LA Chargers, 13th playoff team. And then you get into the middle. The only playoff teams that were not really good scoring teams, the Texans, who got bounced in the second round, the Rams, who got bounced in the second round, the Steelers, who got bounced in the first round. That's it. The bottom, here are the worst scoring teams. You can guess where they're picking in the draft. Browns, Giants, Patriots, Vegas, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Jets.
Yeah.
This league is all about. It's too
scoring.
hard. Not to say that you don't need to have a good defense. Now the Eagles are using a combination of. By the way, they were the 6th scoring offense, and everybody's so they have that and their defense. It's too hard to play consistent defense with the rules against you, with the talent on off. You have to be able to score. Every team that's still. So we've got Philly, who's 6th. The Chiefs are 12th, still in the top 12 in the league, and the Chiefs have actually kind of turned their offense on as we've gotten going. You need to be able to score to have a shot to win a Super Bowl, period.
Yes.
And until
sure
you do, that's why, to me, I wouldn't mind.
Weapon.
We have 5 top 102 picks, I wouldn't mind if all 5 were on the offense.
Yep. Weapon. I'm with you. Schwartz is a genius. You got Miles. Find a way to get enough stops when you need to.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Hall, you got some nice young pieces. Hope to get
Denzel
JOK back. Denzel and MJ, and yeah.
I'm with you. That's
the
absolutely
league.
That's the league. Speaking of the league, we'll go around the league coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Boost your game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet at $25 or more. Get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to go around the league, presented by Leaf Filter, official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. How about on a Friday? Jera hires Brian Schottenheimer on a Friday.
But doesn't that tell you everything you need to know?
Of course it does. Of course it does. And then he
So
talks
nobody
today
wanted
about
to
the
work with
biggest
him?
gamble, or he doesn't want to pay coaches.
I mean, I don't understand how any
It's
of it.
Marty's kid, so I mean, it's we love Marty, but like, holy smokes, man, this guy's 51,
Never been a head coach.
never been a head coach, no.
And not really even considered to be at the peak of his
No, that would have been like the late 2000s when he was with the Jets.
Jets. Yeah.
Imagine looking around that division, and I mean, the Giants aren't really going anywhere, but you got Jaden Daniels, and you got two NFC East teams playing for the NFC Championship yesterday. And you remember we said how weird they were, like they didn't spend this year, like it was such a strange thing.
Yes.
Like so weird, and then they lose the year. They ridiculously then sign Prescott to the extension, record-breaking extension. They fire McCarthy, although they acted like they were going to keep him. Now they're bringing in Brian Schottenheimer to run it, and it's like,
And
what
is
are you
Eberflus
doing?
going to be the DC? Is
I
that
saw he flew down there.
Yeah.
That one was wild. That's that is the. If you were to give me a million guesses, I just assumed Belichick would go there.
Why not Kellen
point.
Moore?
Why not Kellen Moore? Great point.
Why not even? They didn't even. I don't get it.
No. The Raiders hiring Pete Carroll, I do get. You and I have not talked about it. I talked to it a little bit yesterday. I know he's 72, but he doesn't act it at all. And I understand what they're doing here. I think this makes a lot of sense.
He's in a tough spot, but yeah, he's gonna bring some.
Well,
how about it?
how about it? Don't you think he could end up with Russell Wilson?
I do think that sounds pretty. That's pretty likely.
There was a story today from Art Rooney in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you saw this, that they want to bring back either Fields or Wilson, but not both. And whoever it is, he wants a multi-year deal on it. So
I don't
what
want
it's
Fields
worth.
to be there. I do think I want Fields to be one of the people in my reimagined quarterback room that gives us 3 real shots at it, where it's the number 2 pick, Fields or Danny Dimes, and then maybe a Will Howard or a Ewers in the 3rd round.
Sure.
Like that's my Nathan Zagura reimagined quarterback room. I want to have those swings at it. I do think that there is something about Fields or Danny Dimes that is. I've seen them at their best, and I like them, and I do think they are people you can win with, but I don't know that they necessarily get you where you're thinking, okay, now we're going to go make a run at the AFC.
No, but the reason I also like both of those guys is, yes, I think there's a ceiling on both, but because of their youth, they could be more than a
Maybe
short
you never
term.
know.
Maybe
Right.
who knows,
Yes.
right?
I'd
see
rather
Kevin-
have Russ stay with the Steelers, by the way, than
Yeah.
Fields, and I'd take Fields right here. This is from our buddy Ben Albright. This is actually pretty good. So he said, this is on January 20th. This was a pinned tweet. If he had to guess today, Patriots, variable all along, that was easy. Jets, I think Aaron Glenn. Saints, again, I think Glenn is the choice, but if he chooses New York, McCarthy has a long relationship with Mickey Loomis. Joe Brady would be my plan C, I guess. So the Saints have they hired?
They have not.
They have
yet.
not.
Yeah.
Jags want Ben Johnson, but I think their plan C for him, my bet has been on Liam Cohen winding up here. Correct.
Yeah.
Cowboys, despite the initial Dion stuff, that's not a real thing. Kellen Moore would be my guess here, but don't sleep on current OC Brian Schottenheimer as plan B. I'd never even heard of Brian Schottenheimer.
Who did all this?
This is Albright. This is from January
Crushed
20th.
it.
The Bears, they'll be fighting with the Raiders, try to get Ben Johnson. My gut says this is a better job. They get Ben Johnson. Raiders, much like the Bears, Ben Johnson is target 1. They have some nice pieces in Bowers and Crosby. That said, the rest of the roster is much further away, and the AFC West is murderous row. No young quarterback to build around, only 6th pick in the draft. Probably have to get input from the GM here, blah, 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 blah. Pete Carroll would be my number 2 here. I think probably a better fit for what they need right now if they're unable to land Johnson. So
Jeez, clairvoyant Ben.
clairvoyant Ben. So if McCarthy or Joe Brady end up in the Saints, he basically got every single one of them, which would be impressive.
Yeah.
This
So
is a
maybe
shocking
that's
one.
where Russell Wilson could end up with the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then there's that with him and Carroll.
Yeah, I don't want Fields in Pittsburgh.
I don't either. But that's kind of the way.
Although
that-
there were a lot of reports that Arthur Smith did not get along.
based on everything anytime we talk about Fields, that doesn't surprise me, because there's obviously easy stuff that he misses
That drives
coordinators nuts. Bob Saleh is back as a defensive coordinator in San Francisco. So that happened.
And Brant Boyer, right?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. J.T. Barrett, former Buckeye quarterback, is the new quarterback coach in Chicago under Ben Johnson on that side of things. The Seahawks have hired Clint Kubiak as their new offensive coordinator, so there's your bring kind of a little bit of a first circle moment there, and then Todd Monken back.
Of course, which I would have loved Monken to end up in. If Ben Johnson didn't go to Chicago and Monken ends up in Chicago, that would have been great. I kind of wanted him to end up with the Jags as well, but it's great for the Ravens, no doubt about it. So Brant Boyer is now the special teams coordinator in San Francisco. Saleh's back as the DC. That's a very good staff. Again, that's a very good football team. I think the Niners will be a very good bounce-back candidate in 2025. I did hear from our London correspondent, I don't know if you've seen this at all, Gibbe, but that there was he had the rumor that it would be us. I have no idea if this is real or not, but us.
Tweeted it.
He did tweet it?
Oh, no, I don't know. I think, go ahead. I don't want to.
Us and the Niners.
That would make sense
in
to me.
London.
That makes sense.
Is that Pedro over the pond?
Pedro and Sue.
So
you and Pedro sharing a hotel room, a little father-son trip.
I told
there
him.
You go.
Let's do that.
I told him. I said it's going to be in October.
Yeah.
So be right around his birthday. So that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he thinks.
And he can fly over Cleveland to get there.
Yeah.
Just go straight
on over.
Straight on over.
Yeah.
I just think that I mean, for all your father does for you, the least you can do
he
is
has he
share
been?
your suite with him.
Well, he's been on
He's
the rugby
been
tour,
on
right?
Rugby tours, yeah. So yeah,
I mean, you guys could do
definitely
some castling.
Yeah, we do some castling. Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun.
On
I'd want him to go.
scholarship.
Can you imagine if you and I went with him castling
That'd be great.
and then documented it, his
Yeah.
lessons?
Oh man, so much wisdom would be
So
spewed.
much wisdom.
All on
and then
scholarship.
we could fact check it all.
I don't know.
Live
I don't
time.
think it's all on scholarship. We're in another country.
Well, I'm not talking about him.
That's true. Yeah, no, not on that. All right, so there you go. There's a lot going on in the league over the last
ton.
weekend. Yeah. All right, we'll get you some of the top calls from championship weekend coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. That number is 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. So good news for our good buddy, Mr. Batonio.
Yeah, Joel Batonio will be headed to his 7th consecutive Pro Bowl, now ranks 4th in team history for most Pro Bowl selections. He'll be replacing Chiefs guard Joe Thuney due to the Super Bowl. So congrats to Joel Batonio, very well deserving. Most Pro Bowls by a Brown. The Hoff 10, Jim Brown 9, Lou Groza 9, Joel Batonio 7, and then Myles Garrett headlines a group of Myles, Leroy Kelly, Gene Hickerson, and Dick Shaffrath with 6.
Pretty good list.
Pretty good list.
Very, very good list, and appropriate that Joel is on it. He was awesome the second half of the year, especially.
Yes.
And was absolutely at top form. All right, let's hear some sound bites from championship weekend. Let's start with the early game, the NFC Championship. Here is Saquon taking it 60 on the first play for the Eagles. Merrill Reese and Mike Quick on 94 WIP.
Center on first down. He pitches it out to Barkley. Takes off to the outside. He's at the 50. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 15, 10. 5, touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 60 yards on his opening touch.
He touched it, and he took it to the house.
Yes, he did.
He touched it, and he took it out. No lies detected there.
No.
When you watch that play back, just incredible job. They got exactly what they wanted. I don't know how you were more concerned with a jet motion than you were with Saquon Barkley, but, I mean, he was pretty untouched.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Sure was.
Pretty easy.
Pretty easy for him. I think we had that as an over-under, didn't we?
Yeah.
Longest rush from the G-Man. Even on his sick bed, he still got it in.
Yeah, Josh Allen. Josh Allen was what it was all about.
Is that what it came down to?
Yeah, it was just Josh Allen. That was the only difference.
Which way did you guys go? Do you
I had
recall?
under 51 yards rushing.
And Gibba had over.
Yeah.
And I was told 51.5 would be a big game for Xavier Worthy. He had that at halftime. So
good job. God, I support you, G-Man.
Gee.
A lot of times I'd get that. The good. Listen, the over-under committee, regular season committee, would get a lot of heat sometimes about some of those numbers. Then it comes back on a Monday.
Pretty good.
Maybe you knew. Maybe you knew.
That's why they play the game.
That's why.
Saquon hit over 27 on his first carry.
Sure did. Here's another one from this game. This was from Big 100, Bram Weinstein, London Fletcher. So the backdrop on this is
I love these guys.
that this was the lead-in. This is after the Commanders kept jumping over.
Louvu goes over twice.
And they're like, illegal, can't do it. They kept moving them half a distance. So this is kind of the follow-up.
And then he says, basically, we can award
Right.
them a score. If
We
you
can
guys
just
keep
give
doing
him
it,
a
we're just going to
score.
give him a score.
Give him a score. If you
Knock
keep
it
doing
off.
this. So that's enough. Here is the response.
Louvu is 6 yards deep. He's ready to make his run on a tush push from the half-yard line. Here he comes. Now he stops, pump fakes. There would have been another offside on the right side of the line. Hurts is taking his time. More flags.
Offside. So what happens now? See, what Louvu, so is encroachment different than offsides?
So there was a jump on the right side of the line. Bobby Wagner is going, I don't even know what the Eagles were doing, waiting that long to snap the ball.
They're just trying to draw them off.
Why?
Encroachment, defense number 93. Washington has been advised that at some point the referee can award a score if this type of behavior happens again. For now, it's a replay of second down.
I've been around the game a long time. This is the first time I've ever heard that. Ever.
Awarded a score. Yeah, here's the thing, though.
30 seconds left of this, 2 minutes left in the show.
Tush push. What do you want them to do? They're supposed to try to stop the play. What do you want them to do?
I never heard of that.
That is crazy.
Learn something new every day.
Award them a score. What are we, in third grade? This is ridiculous. All right, so it's second and goal to 1. Tush push again. Just snap it, Jalen. There he goes. They push him over the goal line. Touchdown, Philadelphia. That was infuriating.
All right,
I love their
they are
whole-
quickly showing on a very short list of my favorite.
I love
you and Siciliano at the top. This is right
this,
there.
Third grade.
What is this, third grade from Weinstein? That's great.
The rule, which is yet to be implemented in the modern NFL, states that the defense shall not commit successive or repeated fouls to prevent a score. The penalty states that if the violation occurs following a warning, the score involved is awarded to the offensive team. In this case, the Eagles would have been given a free touchdown. Rule 12, Section 3, Article 2, dubbed rules fouls to prevent a score.
Here's the thing.
I wish they did it. That would have been great. That's it. Touchdown.
Here's the thing on the tush-push thing, though. Like, Buffalo tried doing it.
No, the Eagles are just better at it.
They're just really good at it. They get really good guys in the interior of their offensive line, and they got a quarterback who squats 1,000 pounds. So the combination of those two things.
They're better at it. They play 1st and 9.
30.
They absolutely
They play 1st and 9.
Yep. That's it. It's kind of that simple. All right. We'll have a lot more fun breaking all of this down as the week continues.
Fun show.
Very fun show. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland.